Patricia, thanks for joining me today. I want to ask you, what made you decide to become a lawyer?
I think that decision was made for me as soon as I became familiar with what a lawyer does. And what a lawyer does is talk, and I love to talk. And I love to argue, I love to advocate. And I think it probably also had to do with the fact that my dad would say to me, if you insist on taking the opposite position, go do that for a living. So if you're going to argue, argue for a living. I liked the idea of advocating and taking a side and standing up for someone.
So you specialize in family law.
Correct.
And I guess there's two sides to that. There's always the property and the money side, and then there's the custody side.
Right.
So which side do you enjoy working on more, or which side are you better at?
By far, the child custody related side. I can do it both. I can do both. I have fantastic partners and support system in my firm for both and for handling property. But by far, I prefer to work on the side of the case that's the more passionate, more emotional side of the case, and that's the side that involves children.
And so what are you most passionate about?
Probably children.
In what way?
I'm passionate about my own family and my own children, but I'm also passionate about my clients' children and making sure that they're well represented. In getting into family law, one of the things that I started doing as a young attorney was being appointed to represent children, first as an ad litem and then as the statute changed as an amicus attorney. And just feel very strongly about protecting kids and protecting what's best for them.
Did you know when you were going to law school that family law was going to be your specialty?
I suspected that that would be my interest, and the more I learned about the different areas of law, the more I worked in different areas of law through clerkships and through working at law firms during school, the more I realized that I didn't want to work in something in what I consider to be somewhat impersonal. Didn't want to work with insurance companies or with leases. I wanted to work with people.
And did you have some mentors along the way?
I did have some mentors. I had the opportunity to work at a court before I went to law school. And as a part of that job, it was an appellate court. So I got to see cases that were on review, and the family law cases, which are few and far between, are the ones that interested me the most. No lawyers in my family, but I know some lawyers through that work. Then when I went to law school, a huge influence on me there was my family law professor. Found that to be so interesting, and that's when I really narrowed my focus to family law.
And are you a mentor in your life to young lawyers?
I like to think so. Since I've had young children, that's hard to do, but I do belong to a number of organizations that are specifically mentoring organizations. And then I like it when other attorneys come up to me and ask for my opinion, younger attorneys, and ask me how I would handle something. So I think so. Now,
can you share a life-changing experience with me, either that happened in your personal life or in the courtroom?
I think life-changing, having children. And I already told you that I really think that having kids made me a better lawyer. It made me better when it comes to child-related issues. I think that attorneys and judges are perfectly capable of handling cases if they don't also have children handling family law cases, but I think it gives you an insight and an understanding that that maybe others might not have.
And what do you think that insight is specifically?
The importance of it. Handling your children, handling your clients with children, representing children in cases, you've got to do it well. It's the most important thing you can do.
We mentioned your dad earlier. Was your mom a big influence in your life as well?
Yes. She's German and a very strong woman, strong-willed, very vocal, as you can imagine. So she was a huge influence on my life. And a big influence on me to go for further education, to not be satisfied with, if it wasn't for me, to not be satisfied with just high school and getting married. She was very much an advocate of higher education.
If I was going to hire you to represent me, now knock on wood, I'm not going through a divorce, but if I was going to hire you to represent me, why should I do it?
You should hire me if you feel comfortable with me, and I think you would. You should hire me because I would feel passionately about your case. I would give you good advice, and I have a strong support team around me.
Best legal moment?
Well, there was passing the board certification exam. That was huge. That's a true test of what you know and can remember and know that you know. So having that confirmation is good. But I think one of my best legal moments might have been winning a summary judgment fairly early on in my practice. I worked so hard. I might have overworked it, but I worked so hard, and having a judge look down and say, "You're just absolutely right," and taking care of my client, that felt great.
You work in a very stressful area of the law for your clients. So how do you help them deal with the stress and the chaos associated with going through not only a divorce, but a custody battle as well?
One of the things I try to do with certain clients in particular is to let them know that it's okay to go talk to somebody about that. A lot of times clients are very hesitant because they think it will affect their case if they seek some outside advice, a therapist's help or just a coach's help to get through this. But you have to have someone else to talk to. You have to have a place to go and someone that you can confide in and trust to deal with the stress that you're under in this kind of case.
When a client hires you, it's expected that they get the legal advice, but do you provide emotional support along the way for them too?
I think that that's one of the things that I give my clients. I have found that really frequently my clients want to talk to me. I have a great staff, but I think that they appreciate the fact that I can be very personally involved and help them with the fact that they might be having a really bad day. So yeah.
And why do other lawyers refer cases to you?
I think they refer cases to me because I feel very passionately and on particular issues. One of the issues that I feel very strongly about has to do with families that have children with special needs. And so I've had recently several referrals based on that, based on the fact that I can be sensitive to the issues surrounding families that have some needs to be very creative in the way their case is handled.
And tell me some of the challenges in a special needs case.
Some of the challenges involve really knowing that you can't take what is sometimes form-driven, a standard possession order, a standard order for the division of rights and duties, a standard conservatorship agreement, and be creative with that. And so children with special needs, children with special medical needs or emotional needs require you to be able to think beyond what a form order provides. I
know you can't win them all, and so I know that there's defeats along the way. Sure. What are some of the bigger learning lessons from the losses?
I think that what you learn is that you have to adapt quickly to your judge. We have 9 judges in Harris County, and I work in outlying counties also. And I think one of the things that you have to be sensitive to is that it's not always going to be what the law says. You have to know your audience, you have to know your judge, and know that well enough to adapt your case to those things.
And how do you want to be remembered?
As a great mom and as a really good lawyer.